Okay, what if I told you that a 3,000-year-old hymn could be the secret weapon against 21st century burnout? It sounds wild, I know, but today we're diving into a fascinating study that gives us some pretty solid clinical proof of what's being called the Sanskritam effect. We're going to see how just 12 weeks of chanting can literally recode your body's stress response. Let's get into it.
I mean, think about it. We are all drowning in a sea of notifications, deadlines, and constant pressure. So what if the life raft we've been looking for isn't some newfangled app, but an ancient practice? This study puts that exact idea to the test. Can the sound vibrations from a hymn that's thousands of years old actually make a real, measurable difference in our modern lives? Well, the results are pretty surprising.
So, let's set the stage. This isn't just some dry clinical trial. You can think of it more like a modern-day hero's journey. Our hero is a super-stressed intellectual, and his quest is to find a genuine solution to his burnout. And the tool he's going to use? An ancient prescription that's been around for millennia. Let's go ahead and meet him.
Our subject is a 32-year-old PhD scholar, but honestly, he could be any one of us. He's juggling high-pressure work, constant mental strain, and it's starting to show up physically, right? He's got borderline high blood pressure. So he's not just a statistic in a lab coat, he's a real person who's actively looking for a way out of this relentless stress cycle.
The experiment itself was beautifully simple but incredibly powerful. For 12 weeks, our guy started every single day by chanting the Vishnu Sahasranama, a famous Sanskrit hymn. The researchers tracked his progress with clinical check-ins at the halfway point, 6 weeks, and then again at the very end. The big question was, would this ancient daily ritual actually move the needle on his modern-day problems?
And listen, this study wasn't about whether chanting just feels nice. No. This was about hard data. The researchers used standardized clinical metrics to measure real, tangible biological changes. We're talking about measuring his stress hormone levels, his blood pressure, and using official psychological scales. The whole point was to see if this ancient practice could truly hold up under the microscope of modern science.
And the results? Well, they were nothing short of stunning. The data showed that this 12-week practice didn't just help him relax a bit. It fundamentally rewired his body's entire response to stress. Let's take a closer look at this biological breakthrough. This number right here, this is the headline. A 52.2% reduction in serum cortisol. For those of you who don't know, cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone. We are not talking about a tiny little dip. This is a massive, life-altering drop. It's a fundamental shift in his entire physiology.
And the impact on his heart health was just as dramatic. As you can see from this chart, his blood pressure, which was creeping into that dangerous high range before the study, came all the way back down to healthy, normal limits after just 12 weeks. The chanting was literally helping his body rediscover a healthier, more balanced state.
But you know, the physical changes were really only half the story. The subject also reported a huge 38.3% drop in his anxiety levels. And this was measured using the standardized DAS-42 scale, which is a serious clinical tool. This just goes to show that the benefits were holistic. They were impacting his body and his mind.
So, the conclusion here is pretty undeniable. This was not a placebo effect. The very specific sonic vibrations of the chant were acting like a form of, you could call it, neurolinguistic technology. It was directly hacking into his body's main control panel, the autonomic nervous system, and turning down the stress response. It's an ancient technology for a very modern problem.
But wait, it gets even better. The benefits didn't just stop at stress relief. The study also uncovered this incredible side effect, a significant boost in cognitive function. We're not just talking about feeling calmer, we're talking about a literal brain upgrade. Okay, check this out. The participants' spatial memory scores shot up by over 37%. That is a huge cognitive gain. It shows that the chanting wasn't just calming his brain down, it was actually making it sharper and more efficient. Now, this one study is part of a much bigger body of research into something called the Sanskrit effect. Get this, MRI scans of people who have been experts in Sanskrit for a long time show that their brains are structurally different. They have over 10% more gray matter and much larger hippocampi. That's the part of your brain that handles memory and learning. So how in the world is this even possible? Well, it all comes down to a concept called hippocampal plasticity. That's just a fancy term for the brain's incredible ability to physically change itself and build new connections. Think of it like this. The complex sounds and patterns of Sanskrit are like a high-intensity workout for your brain's memory center, literally making it bigger and stronger over time. So what is the secret sauce here? What's the actual mechanism? How can simple sound create such a profound biological and neurological change? Let's unlock the science of what's going on.
Researchers have pretty much pinpointed a three-part mechanism that explains how this all works. It starts with something called vagus nerve stimulation, moves on to brainwave entrainment, and finishes with cranial resonance. Let's break down each one of those steps. First up, vagus nerve stimulation. So the really precise tongue movements you have to make to chant Sanskrit correctly, hitting the teeth, the roof of your mouth, create these internal vibrations. And those vibrations stimulate the vagus nerve, which is like the big brake pedal for your body's fight-or-flight system. By chanting, you are literally physically telling your nervous system to calm down.
Next, you've got brainwave entrainment. The specific rhythm of the hymn, known as the Anshtup meter, acts like a tuning fork for your brain. It gently coaxes your brainwaves out of that high-frequency, stressed-out beta state and into the calm, focused alpha state. It's like retuning your brain to a much more peaceful and productive frequency. Okay, now for what I think is the most incredible part of this entire story. Let's take these modern, clinical, scientific results and compare them directly to the promises made within the ancient text itself. This is something called the Phala Sruti, which translates to the fruits of recitation.
This is where it all just clicks into place. It's mind-blowing. The ancient text promised arogya, or health, and the study found normalized blood pressure. It promised Phala, which means strength, and the study found a massive reduction in the stress hormone cortisol. It promised dhriti, or mental resilience, and the study found a significant drop in anxiety. The modern data is perfectly validating the ancient wisdom, point for point.
And this isn't some vague, poetic promise. The text is incredibly direct about it. It's a clear statement of cause and effect. If you do this, you will get these results. No fear, no disease, only strength. It's basically an instruction manual.
What this really suggests is that the ancient rishis, the sages who composed these hymns, weren't just poets or philosophers, they were basically neuroscientists. They embedded a highly sophisticated science of biological self-regulation directly into the sounds and rhythms of their hymns, creating a powerful technology that could be passed down for thousands of years. And that, of course, leads us to the final, really mind-bending question. If this is what we found hiding inside just one 3,000-year-old hymn, what other incredible ancient technologies for upgrading our minds, our bodies, and our consciousness are just hiding in plain sight, waiting for us to rediscover them?